Ready to go? Call the meeting to order. Good morning. We're going to call our meeting to order, St. Pete College Board of Trustees meeting. Morning, Ms. Bello. This morning, I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to call Dr. Conferly Carney up, who is retiring from the college, to ask him to do our invocation this morning. Dr. Carney?
Louder, please.
Let us pray.
Thank you, Lord.
Kind and loving Father in heaven, we come before you once again in the spirit of thanksgiving. We thank you so much for all that you've done for this college. We thank you for our leaders here at the college. We thank you for the leaders of our state and of the nation. And Father, we are just so thankful for all that you have done for us through this great college. We ask your blessings today upon the agenda and items that come before this meeting. We ask for your wisdom and your guidance. In all things we do, we are thankful to you. And so it is. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dr. Law will turn it over to you for preliminary matters for the presentation of retirement resolutions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to take pictures, I guess.
Hold on. Excuse me, we can't hear if everyone's talking in the back, please. So if you could keep the chatter to a minimum. Thank you.
I'd like to ask Dr. Cynthia Jolliffe-Johnson to come forward. Here, okay, and then we have a resolution. Cynthia's colleagues are assembling here. Dr. Cynthia Jolliffe-Johnson has been an important part of St. Petersburg College since 1989, when she arrived on the St. Petersburg Gibbs campus to assume the role of guidance counselor. And whereas Dr. Jolliffe-Johnson proved to be a talented and valued member of the guidance department staff, and became counselor in charge in 1996, facilitating the accomplishment of departmental goals, teaching college success skills courses, and initiating the Mac J. Williams Senior Awards Program for academically talented minority students. And whereas Dr. Jolliffe-Johnson was named Director of Student Success at the St. Petersburg Gibbs campus in 2004, and worked effectively with campus and college-wide leaders to provide educational, career, and personal counseling to prospective and enrolled St. Petersburg College students. And whereas Dr. Jolliffe-Johnson became the Director of College-wide My SPC Answer Place, or MAP Centers, in 2007, successfully collaborating with others to identify strategies to optimize efficiencies and better meet the needs of new and prospective students. And whereas Dr. Jolliffe-Johnson most recently served as the Associate Provost on St. Petersburg College's Midtown campus, where she enthusiastically engaged in the college's commitment to increased education and partnership opportunities in South St. Petersburg. And whereas Dr. Jolliffe-Johnson has, over the years, received numerous awards and commendations for her volunteer work for the college and community, including the Dr. Johnny Ruth Clark Award for Excellence in Community College Administration in 2005. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the St. Petersburg College Board of Trustees and the total college community hereby recognize the outstanding contributions of Cynthia Jolliffe-Johnson and extend to her our best wishes for enjoyment throughout the years ahead. Said resolution adopted and approved by the St. Petersburg College Board of Trustees this 20th day of May 2014. Here, here. Come on, you get to say just a couple words.
I shared some thoughts earlier down in 104A, but I quoted this statement that's very close to my heart, and it is the privilege, and it's by Joseph Campbell, the privilege of a lifetime is the opportunity to be who you are. And all of my positions at the college have given me the opportunity to use my gifts and talents in the service to all. And those of you who are academicians, I want you to stay in the game, continue to work with the students, continue to help them grow and develop and bring their dreams to fruition. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We have one more resolution. Dr. Confalit Carney. Yeah, I know. Conflit's got lots of friends. Confalit Carney joined St. Petersburg College in 1996, drawn out of retirement from a previous position as Vice President of Information Technologies at General Electric, to come to St. Petersburg College to establish a new college-wide information system. And whereas Dr. Carney, after a month of significant research and investigation, proposed the PeopleSoft system to the Board of Trustees, which trusted his knowledge and experience and implemented the system. And whereas Dr. Carney continued over the years to prove himself a highly capable administrator as additional responsibilities were added to his job description, including business services, planning and budgeting. And whereas Dr. Carney, seeking new opportunities, received a new job in 2008 when he became provost on the Tarpon Springs campus, effectively working with students, faculty, and staff as that campus developed and grew beyond expectations. And whereas Dr. Carney over the years was a part of 2 college accreditation processes that resulted in the highest possible recognition by outside reviewers, oversaw the development and completion of the Tarpon Springs campus master plan and the accreditation of the Lipa-Ratner Museum of Art. And whereas Dr. Carney will long be remembered at St. Petersburg College for his outstanding leadership skills, his innovative and creative ideas, his technical capabilities, and his love of students and learning, now therefore be it resolved that the St. Petersburg College Board of Trustees and the total college community hereby recognize the outstanding contributions of Confalit Carney and extend to him our best wishes for enjoyment throughout the years ahead. He will be missed. Said resolution being adopted and approved by the Board of Trustees, St. Petersburg College, this 20th day of May, 2014. Hear, hear.
Once again, I want to be very thankful for 2 very, very good careers. I am thankful to God for sending all of the people to work with me. Everything that I was able to do was done as a team. And I appreciate the team at the district office that I was able to work with, as well as the team on the campus. Let me close again. Thank you, God. Thank you, St. Petersburg College. Thank you, college family.
Good morning. I'm Phil Trezza, Senior Vice President with Harvard Jolly Architecture. I'm joined this morning with my colleagues from Harvard Jolly, Ward Frezalowski, one of our our Executive Vice Presidents, as well as Drazen Admetic, our Director of Higher Education Architecture. And we're here this morning to dedicate an award we received at the Winter FEFPA conference for the Ethics and Social Science Building project on your Clearwater campus. So we're pleased to dedicate this award to you. We have the award framed and the graphics that we composed for the project. We want to thank you for your vision and leadership to allow us to design this project for you. This project is transforming the Clearwater campus and bringing the school to a new level. I also want to recognize A.D. Morgan, the construction manager, as well as your staff at St. Pete College, Diana Wright, James Petticone, Jim Wechter, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, we'll go to board member comments. Ms. Bello, good morning. Good morning. Any comments this morning? Mr. Oliver?
The only comment I have is again to congratulate Drs. Joseph Johnson and Dr. Carney for their retirement and kind of moving into this phase of their life, and certainly wish them the best.
Good morning, Captain Fine.
Good morning. Jet lag still. So, no comments.
Go ahead. Ms. Weston?
Good morning, congratulations. Congratulations to both of you. We had the privilege of being at graduation last week. Was it last week? It was really, honestly, one of the most exciting things that I've participated in. I also had the opportunity to participate in St. Pete Collegiate High School's graduation, and I was absolutely touched by it. The staff there and the educators there, wow. Just wow was where I was left with that. So anyway, it's a privilege to be a part of this family.
Let me start by saying we had a great graduation. I think it was actually probably the largest class that we have ever had at Tropicana Field. It was an amazing graduation. I will tell you that our former board member, Ken Burke, would have been proud. I counted some 70 African-American males that graduated, and that was a lot of his work that went into that. So we should be proud of that we are actually retaining and graduating African-American males at St. Petersburg College. The second thing is Dr. Carney and Dr. Cynthia Joseph Johnson, you all will be remiss that I don't know how we're going to replace over 55 years of education, quality folks in education at this college, but we're going to try. Dr. Lawley is already in process of trying to do that. But you will be missed, and we thank you for all that you have given, not only to this community, but to the students of St. Petersburg College. Dr. Law has a saying that the best way to know you've done a good job is that the people who don't know your name, you benefit from the things you have done. And our students, as well as our community, will benefit long-term from the things that these two people have done. I'll move down to the president and his report.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, thank you very much. First of all, thank you all for your participation at graduation. That morning, you have to say, okay, it's going to be a long morning, and all of us are used to being more engaged. Nobody's looking at us to call the names, thank goodness. But it's a special moment, and I was glad that we shared. We had one of the all-time special moments, Ms. Bello. We had a young man who had decided he was he was non-ambulatory, but he had decided he was going to stand and walk the last few steps to receive his degree, and he did. And you could hardly draw a breath in Tropicana Field as he did it. We were up close. A lot of people might have been saying, uh-oh, I don't know where this is headed. There was no doubt in my mind he was going to take those last few steps. It was, we should pin medals on some of our students for the success that they've had. So anyway, thank you for being there. 1,200 names we called in just under 2 hours. So we do, it's some form of production as well as some form of congratulations from the heart. Second of all, I wanted to indicate that the legislative session is thankfully concluded. We do not have the governor has not signed all of the bills and whatnot. I will tell you that, we follow closely and we make believe we influence events that, I always tell everybody, they can't give us enough money to make us successful, and they can't cut us enough to keep us from being successful. Who we are is what we do. Our budget is in fine shape, as you'll see during the morning. I want to say that just yesterday, though, I spent the day touching all the bases I know how to touch on our PICO project, and the indicators are okay. So that means nothing. But I want you to know I did my due diligence yesterday touching all the bases. So we have a really nice facility over at Bay Pines that we'll be working on. So I think we get that done. And from that, let's move through. We have a full agenda, so we will do this. Mr. Chairman, we have in front of everybody, we do have a revised personnel report. We were able to confirm some of the high-level leadership, executive leadership pieces, and we'll just substitute those, but we will highlight the the executive replacements that we were able to recruit and secure. That's it. Thank you.
Move down to approving the minutes from April 15th. Do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
It's been properly moved in second. Any discussion? None signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. We are on. Mr. Lang, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
How are you?
I'm fine.
Do we have a report from you
All's
this morning?
quiet on this front.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Ms. Gardner, do we have a report from you?
I do not.
Okay, so we'll move down to the foundation presentation. I'm sure we have Francis New. Good morning, Ms. New. How are you?
Good morning, Mr.
Good,
Chairman.
good,
I'm fine.
good.
Thank you for asking members of the board, Dr. Law. I'm so pleased this morning to introduce the chairman of the foundation board of directors, Mr. Ken Shervin, who will help me give the report this morning. Ken, in his day job, when we let him away from foundation work, is the president of Bank of Tampa's Pinellas division. So I will take the first few slides that look at our financial outcomes, and then Ken will talk about some of our accomplishments, our other accomplishments, and our strategic priorities. For our fiscal year that ended on March 31st, 2014, the foundation reported over $59 million in financial assets. That's up from 2011 when we had $46 million, a 29% increase over the 4 years. We're also very pleased to report that we finished our fiscal year with over $2 million in revenues. In 2011, we were just over $1 million, and we've seen some steady growth, and we're very pleased about that. But this growth represents a 91% increase over those 4 years. We like to take our contributions and slice them and dice them and give us, different views to see how we're doing and in the different areas. The first view that we're going to look at this morning is the number and type of contributions. The foundation received in 2014 978 contributions. And let me tell you, this spans the range. We received an anonymous gift of $1. And we also received a $400,000 estate gift. So you can see it spans the range. We have a 60% growth over 2011 when we brought in 610 gifts. Our donors, 822 individual donors gave to us. And donors are distinguished from contributions in that many donors make multiple gifts over the course of the year. Gifts for scholarships this year numbered 567, and these scholarships span the range. They're very broad in some cases, others they're very narrow for nursing, study abroad, business, you name it. Donors come forth and support our programs and our students. Gifts for programs, 411. Tribute gifts, 67, and these are gifts made in honor or in memory of an individual. Our online gifts, we're very pleased. We've doubled the number of online gifts over the past year, and we expect this trend to continue to grow. Contributions in terms of gift size. We received 187 gifts over $1,000 this year. The largest growth was in the gift range of $1,000 to $4,999. We doubled that over last year, and you can see some growth in all the categories, and I think our chairman will talk a little bit about the board's focus in the coming months and years. Contributions in terms of source. We received the lion's share of our contributions from individuals. 687 individuals supported the foundation this year, and we're very pleased about that. We also see growth in our corporate giving. 55 corporations supported the foundation this year compared to 48 last year and 36 in 2011. We expect and we will work at making this segment of our giving grow because we truly believe that the business community is one of the biggest beneficiaries of the work of this institution. Clubs and organizations, 47 gifts. This is mostly the Rotary. We have great representation from the Rotary. Our latest and our newest was the Audubon Society of Clearwater. Foundations, we received 18 gifts, and estate gifts, 15. For a scholarship update, and these numbers look at Session 1 and Session 2, fall and spring of this academic year. We awarded 1,760 scholarships. We had over 2,000 applicants, eligible applicants, and that award amount is over $1 million now. We're still tallying the summer session, and we expect that number to obviously grow after those numbers are in. Before I turn the mic over to Ken, I do want to take a moment to talk about First Gen. First generation scholarships are the only remaining match that the state provides. The college and the college foundation raised over $84,000. We then apply for the match from the state. We receive that dollar-for-dollar match, and then our financial assistance department makes those awards. So that is my report, and I'll turn it over to Ken.
Thank you, Francis. The foundation accomplishments, we focused basically on three main accomplishments. One was board development. We wanted to strengthen our board, and we had 8 new members over the past 18 months, most of them leaders of their organizations. And we also adopted a mandatory giving policy. Our entire board gives a minimum of $1,000 a year or a stretch gift, whichever they can afford to do. And we have mandatory committee involvement. So not only do you serve on the board, you also serve on the committee. I'd like to thank Mr. Fine for joining our board. He's been a great addition to our board. Appreciate having you on board. The committees, we actually took a look at all the structure of the committees. We changed our policies on the investment policy to update what's happening in the investment world. We actually have come up with a new committee, a governance committee, replaced the nominations committee. Governance committee now looks at our bylaws, makes sure we're legal and up to date at all times, but more importantly, also looks for new board members all the time, not just when terms are expiring. We're trying to identify who's the best people in the community to serve. With the programs, Francis deserves a lot of credit. With Lipa Rappner, was able to secure a $50,000 exhibition sponsor and a $400,000 endowment gift, so congratulations, Francis. And we were also putting on some events. The Snell Bishop House event was the first fundraiser we've had in 7 years. I was not able to attend. Here it was a great success, so great work for Francis and the staff. Strategic priorities, again, we want to support the 3% enrollment increase. We're looking on our way to do that is to try to increase contributions. We're trying to increase the gift number and size. We're looking for high net worth individuals, identifying those in the community so we know who to go out and make calls on and talk to and tell the story of the college. And we're trying to expand the business partnerships. If you look at our corporate partners over $1,000, what's impressive not only are the names on the list, but what's also impressive, we have 12 new corporate partners this year. So the list is growing. Hope to have that over to 100 names here in the near future. And that's part of the job that I need to help Francis with. I don't know if I can read that, but that's our foundation board of directors. Again, we have 8 new directors in the last 18 months. Most of them run their own companies or are very well distinguished in their fields. And it's a very active board. It's an engaged board. And we try to do a lot of education. And then we're out fundraising and friend raising also. Does anyone have any questions for us?
Board members, any questions? Thank you, Ms. Newton. Thank you, Mr. Sherman.
I just
Okay,
want to
go ahead.
comment that I think the school is very fortunate to have Francis and Ken on board. The synergy and energy the foundation has had, and take it for what it's worth, I've sit on the board, so, has been truly outstanding. If you notice the numbers in our economy, everything's trending up, and they have some wonderful people on the board, and it's a tribute to Francis and Ken for going out and cultivating those leaders. So as the money in Tallahassee is continuing to shrink a little bit, I think this is an important piece that we have to all get behind and support the foundation, because truly this is where some of our funding for some of our programs, obviously for scholarships, can come in the future for this community. So thank you, both of you.
May I add one thing? Ken Shervin has served on the foundation board of directors for almost 20 years now. Wow. He is an alumnus of the St. Petersburg College. He gives personally. He also helps us secure gifts outside of his own giving. In fact, he brought in one of our new corporate donors, a $10,000 gift this year. And I just want to say how very fortunate this college and this foundation is to have his leadership, his dedication, and his service. Thank you.
We'll move down to strategic focus, and we'll have a legislative update.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I had sent a very brief overview right at the close of the legislative session. As late as last night, we were still trying to pull together probably more detail than most of us want on many of the items. Mr. Chairman, in the interest of time, what I'd like to do is hand this out. Let us dissect it a little further, make sure we know what gets signed, what gets vetoed, what's the emergent piece. There are a number of follow-up items within the Department of Education where we can give a little more flavor. Perhaps I think we would be best served by adding this item to next month's agenda and taking a little more careful time and when we know for sure what's we don't want to spend time on things that are going to get vetoed or otherwise conditioned later on. So I see some of our knowledgeable legislative people nodding their heads. If that's okay with the board, we're happy to answer questions, but Suzanne did a great job pulling this together and getting it ready for us today. So,
Do any board members have any impressions or comments on changing that item?
Are you looking for a motion to continue it to June?
Oh, it's just an information item, so we're okay. I have no problem with that, Dr. Law. Since July 1st, the governor has till July 1st to sign all of the bills and to make sure that I can tell you that we had a pretty fruitful legislative session. It turned out very well. I was there for the last couple of days, and the college was in very good position. I know Dr. Law was there arguing not arguing, but there during conference. And we were sitting pretty nicely in terms of the projects that we asked for. So since we don't have a problem with that, we'll move that to next month. We'll move to student achievement, success and achievement. We'll have a presentation about the college experience.
great. We do this, our number one priority has been improve the rates of student success, and we are all in. We have probably given you more information than you want, but your encouragement has been, I think, greatly rewarded by some of our success. We have Dr. Jesse Coraggio and Dr. Patrick Nard, well known to all of you. Here's the update after the spring semester. So these gentlemen can run that computer Saturday morning after grades are in Friday night and tell us how do we do. So Jesse, short and sweet, run through it.
Good morning. As you can imagine, I know we've had some prior presentations to the board in regards to some of the recent legislative changes that occurred last year in the form of the developmental education reform. So we were a little anxious looking at these results as well. Just as a quick reminder, that Dev Ed reform allowed students who had been freshmen in high school in 2003 going forward and then graduated with a Florida high school diploma to be able to choose whether they wanted to participate in developmental education or not. They could choose whether they wanted to take the test. They could choose whether or not they wanted to participate in those courses. So our nervousness in terms of the results that we've had, and we've had some very impressive results over the last few semesters as a result of the work that's been done at the college, was concerns now that students have a choice, how would that go ahead and impact what our course success rates were? Just a quick reminder here, our course success rates are essentially looking at what percentage of students get A, B, and C grades in their classes. So we're just dividing A, B, C across, divided by all possible grades. And we do have some movement upwards. So these are the last 3 spring terms. You can see going back to spring 2012, our success rate for all students, we had 94,000 grades, was 73.4. So we do notice upward movement overall for spring. We were up to 74.9. So when we're looking at all students, of course, a lot of our interventions are incoming brand new students, but we're seeing impact across the entire college. This is a breakdown of our first time in college students. So these are students that haven't previously been at college since the time they graduated high school. And when we noticed here, if we look at that first line at the very top, we did notice a little bit of a downward trend. Again, we're anticipating this as a result of some of those legislative changes. What I did here is actually show what we've done over the last 3 spring terms. So looking across that time frame, even though we had a dip this last term, we're still up 5.1% across that period. And we did have some increases. You'll notice under ethnicity, we had a slight increase for our white students. If we look at male and ethnicity combinations, you'll see we had a slight increase in our black African American male students, as well as our white students, white male students in addition. And then normally what we do is we break down this data further. So this is one area, I'll be honest with you, I was kind of expecting a downcline in the results. Because from my perspective, now that students have a choice, I'm anticipating a lot of those students are going to move on, not take Dev Ed, and move on to gateway classes. As a result, then we'd have less ability students then taking the developmental education. But we were pleasantly surprised when we look at this data set, because what we noticed is increases pretty much across the board. Overall, we had an increase in overall FTIC in those remedial or developmental courses, and in pretty much every area with the exception of Hispanic students. Now, I will notice that Hispanic students by themselves as a group had the highest of all groups. So that change in the downcline wasn't real great. It was from 70.8 down to 68.6. But what's most exciting about this slide is when we look at those on the top of the chart. Our African American male students increased their course success rate 25% over the 3-semester period. And 9% of that was in this last term to term. So that's pretty impressive. So the success rate was 37.8% just 3 semesters ago and is now at 62.8%. I think that's a pretty impressive gain. Also a big dramatic gain when we look at Hispanic males, they increased 22.6%. So, you know, the initiatives that we have in place are working, especially in developmental education. And I will note that the deans in this area, Deans Campbell and Dean Chang, did a lot of work to make sure in the developmental education areas, knowing we were going to have students of less academic capability, that we put new strategies in place. Now let's look at the breakdown in our gateway courses.
Good morning. Just as a quick reminder, gateway courses are high volume, first year college level courses, Composition 1, Intermediate Algebra, Psychology, Humanities, Anatomy and Physiology, courses of that nature. And so you see at the overall first time in college rate, we did see a decrease compared to 2013. But again, across 2 years, from 2012, we saw a 6.8% increase. We also saw a slight increase in the overall male population and the white male population with those gateway courses. So we attribute the decrease to that legislation that Jesse mentioned earlier. And this slide represents the outcomes in math, writing, and reading based on a prediction model. And again, those students where the CPT, the placement test, was optional and entering into developmental education courses was optional, we created a prediction model using high school data. What courses did they take in high school? What kind of grades did they get in high school? To try to ascertain and best advise students that you really should start in developmental, or you are likely college ready and good to go. The numbers in the parentheses actually represent the number of students in each of those categories, and then you see the success rate percentages in each category. Now, what's interesting is that in every case, those students that we predicted needed developmental education, and those students took our advice and enrolled in developmental education, the success rates and those percentages are higher than those students that didn't heed our advice and went directly into that gateway course, Composition 1 or Intermediate Algebra. So we've got work to do here. There's one anomaly you see there in yellow, that 74%. We've got to roll up our sleeves and get to the bottom of that one. It had a higher rate than those that we predicted at likely college ready. And so Jesse and I are going to dig into that and get to the bottom of that. But you know, we owe it to our students to change our model, be a little more assertive in our advising, to direct and guide them into developmental education if that's what we predict that they need. So noteworthy observations. We've had now 3 consecutive terms of overall course success rates. We had a 0.5% increase from last spring. The developmental education success rates are trending up. The Hispanic students, the only exception to that. Tremendous increases over the last 3 springs, spring terms and success rates with African American male students and Hispanic male students. And then we attribute the decline or the slower growth this spring to the DevEd reform legislation, and we know we've got work to do there. So with that, any questions?
Board members, any questions? No. Comments?
Just to say thank you. I'm very grateful. I always love to see the numbers. Mm-hmm. So we've got work to do, but at the same time, what it shows is that overall, our gut instinct is right. And granted, I don't like gut instincts very much because I'd rather see numbers, but our gut tells us that a kid needs to start with developmental ed, or student needs to start with developmental ed. Essentially, we're right. Years of experience and hard work actually predict it correctly.
And we are doing some interesting things. One of the things that we looked at the data, and we can share at a later time, is we did a co-requisite. That was a design in some of our areas, but especially in our communications area. So student went on and took the gateway level course. We gave an option to take a single credit co-requisite at the same time that was developmental education, and we did see some findings on that. So some of the data that you see is a result of us doing some of these things to try to improve overall success for our students.
I'm
Thank you.
appreciative, thank you, Ms. Weston. I'm appreciative that we move the needle every semester, that we have started these initiatives related to African-American males and Hispanic males. So we are doing, you're right, our gut instinct was correct, and we are moving the needle. We see that at graduation as well. Thank you so much. Good job, gentlemen.
Thanks, guys.
We're moving to the streamlined admissions presentation.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, and President Dr. Law. My name is Diana Sabino, Executive Director of Marketing and Public Information, and I'm here this morning with Dr. Patrick Renard to present to you the streamlined admissions process. A critical part of year one is getting more students to register, thus the need to focus on the front door and the work being done there. We are collecting metrics every day. Our pre-admissions transition plan is in production and we're executing. Since the transition on March 31st, we've seen steady growth in inquiries generated to the college, as well as more outbound calls being made.
Good morning again. For the last 6 or 7 weeks, we have implemented a new process whereby any student who applies to the college is being phoned within the next business day. That's happening across the college at every campus as well as at district office. And we are now documenting the results of that outreach, and those results are reported to the president and the executive team on a weekly basis. And we're having good success with that. These are some of the comments that we're receiving from students as we reach out to them. They're very appreciative of the phone call and the outreach efforts. The process of enrolling in college can be a daunting process. The goal of these phone calls is to make a personal point of contact for that student to try to bring them through the pipeline, and they leave a phone number and a name, so it's a resource that that student can later call if they've got further questions.
Okay, pre-admissions advisors have been in trainings, and we've implemented this inquiry to application 90-day process, and it's provided to you in those flip charts. We've also heard what you've told us last month, and we've taken important first steps. So here's the original auto acceptance letter that has gone out, and here is a revision that has been dropped for our students. And then here is a letter that we used to send to those who've started an application that did not complete the application, and here's a revision of that piece as well.
Okay, the purpose of this slide is really not to overwhelm you. It can be a little overwhelming, but it's to assure you that our processes are 100% documented, from the point of inquiry for a new student to the point of enrollment and advising to financial aid. All of these processes we could drill down. I'm not going to do that, and go into sub-processes. So we just wanted you to be assured that the processes were documented. We have a communication stream that's embedded throughout these processes that go to students. And despite the fact that the processes are documented, we recognize that we have work to be still to be done. All of our communications are being reviewed to ensure that they are clear and that we are speaking from one voice. Diana has shared with you examples of some changes that students are going to receive at the front door, and now we need to carry those changes throughout the entire enrollment onboarding process. Also, our processes, while thoroughly documented, need to be reviewed and vetted. navigating through the path from inquiry to the first day of class can be challenging for students. There's a business process review committee that has begun to meet to optimize our processes and determine the critical path to enrollment. And that same group has begun to scrutinize our communications to ensure that the messages are personalized, timely, clear, and relevant.
So our communications for applications registration and for our external audiences will continue to look different. In the next 60 days, we'll launch into a full digital strategy. Details of this are provided in the newsletter. You'll see some of the creative highlights here. We're focusing on a reason approach, listing the many reasons why someone should choose SPC. These are preliminary drafts, and then from there we'll drive through a microsite where a student will be able to navigate on a virtual tour, if you will, through those reasons and land on a request for information form where they can tell us more about themselves. And that concludes our presentation. If there are any questions.
Diana, when I asked you yesterday, digital ads, tell me again, share with us the strategy on those, please.
Yes, those are part of the Google Display Network. Well, they'll be presented on multiple areas, and it's the first year strategy is a retargeting approach. So students who have come to our website and then have left will continue to see our message as they navigate through other places online. The approach that we're trying to take is to raise our relevance in a digital world. We have a relevance on the street and in the community, and now how do we branch out into the online space? So we want to do that through YouTube pre-roll videos telling our story, and so that in year 2 we'll have a better quality score and relevance that will help us to drive more direct response, pay-per-click on AdWords campaigns.
Board members, any comments, questions?
I had one. What are the challenges? I mean, it's a great plan. What are the challenges moving forward? Budgeting, staffing. Well, like I said, looks really pretty and it's wonderful. But what are you facing implementing it?
I think determining that critical path. I mean, we've got, as I said, the process can be overwhelming for a new student. And so determining what is absolutely essential to get the student from the point of inquiry all the way through the pipeline to the first day of class. And then the communication stream. Much of our communication right now is very text intensive, and it's not very student friendly. So I think working on that is going to be a challenge for us, but we'll get there.
So any challenges as far as staffing or budgeting or things of that to implement the plan, or we're appropriately good
I think
to go?
that it would be ideal to have a CRM, but I think that we're doing the steps that we really need to take to make sure that when we get ready for CRM implementation, it will be, the processes will be aligned. So thank you.
Ms. Weston?
As we're going through this, who's part of your review process? Do we have students that are reviewing this? Do we have, who's part of our review?
We have student focus groups that are part of the marketing team that we meet with once per month. And then we work as a team through what we're trying to change. We know that we just want to get something out there as well, because then through testing we can continue to optimize. So we're trying to make a big change in our look and feel and our message, and we realize we'll continue to get better in that area, but got to start somewhere. So
The reason I asked is that it all has a very young look to it, has a very vibrant feel.
Right.
And I know that at my age, which I won't say out loud, I couldn't have come up with it. So I figured there had to be some youth in there somewhere.
we did ask for a lot of opinions throughout the process of both the younger and older adult students.
Any more questions, any more questions, comments? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Moving down to our budget presentations.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I'm going to ask the three senior vice presidents to join us here so that we can not
Sure.
have bobbing heads if there are questions. And we're in the good hands of Jamel to drive the presentation. Where is Dr. Cooper?
Okay.
we'll have her join us. I need to, we sent, a week ago, we posted everything, we sent you a copy of the budget. We've done budget every month since the planning meeting back in December. But, there comes a point where I have to maintain your confidence. When we opened the summer semester yesterday, we were down 3% again over last year. So to show up this morning and tell you something magical is going to change just with the start of the new fiscal year, I don't think I can, I can't tell you that. We're working as hard as we can to do the 3% strategy, but I don't want to build that in if it's not going to happen. I think we can always add money to the budget. We can always figure out how to get to the next level, but I'd rather keep going forward rather than going back. So yesterday, at my direction, Doug and Jamel revised the presentation. What we did, the presentation we'd like to, the priorities haven't changed, the numbers are going to change a little bit, but what you will see then is the baccalaureate programs continue to grow. They grew 5%, and they have been ever upwards. So we kept the 3% growth for the bachelor's programs, and we'll project that revenue into the budget. We zeroed the growth for the lower division, and indeed, we're going to hold a reserve in case that goes down again. So not only are we not going to spend the zero amount, we're going to reserve some of that just in case. We brought in all the money from the legislative piece. The work that we've done, and we just showed some of the student success. We had a great presentation last month on our college experience. I still would like to and make the strong case for the $1 per credit hour for the learning access fee that's devoted 100% to the continued expansion of our student success initiatives. Just by the numbers, we had our last weekly meeting last week, 100,000 visits this semester to the learning centers by our students, 250,000 visits over the year. We have 14,000 students now who are on learning plans. 20,000 is within our reach. We have a strategy to do that. So I want to say that the scaling up of these wonderful efforts needs to continue in my estimation. That's the highest priority that I'm presenting to you. The cost of doing that is $1 per credit hour in the learning access fee. Okay, so it's pledged. I don't want to be too cute here. It's not a tuition increase, but students pay $1 extra for that, and we can continue to grow those learning centers. The issue that we had taken some time with you on was compensation. Unfortunately, what I'd like to do is leave that unresolved because, quite frankly, without the tuition growth, I don't think we can afford a compensation increase. I'd like not to say no permanently because we may find that our efforts start to catch on. You saw our change in the marketing, the intake process. We're working that as hard as we know how. The campuses are holding literally every night welcoming sessions on campus. But we ought to grow into it. If it works, we'll all celebrate. But I can't recommend spending money that we don't have. So Jamel, if you would move us forward, we'll review with you the budget that we presented to you last month with some minor changes and take your input. We still have a month to go, but this is our latest and best recommendation to you.
Good morning. So this morning we're going to talk about two budgets. To start off with is, as Dr. Law mentioned, the operating budget revised for discussion and possibly approval, and then also take the first look at the capital construction budget, which we'll bring back to you in June. When we talk about the general operating budget, some things that have happened in the legislature since the presentation that I brought you last month include that we received overall increased state funding of $1.8 million, which was pretty close to what we brought to you, with mostly a shift that occurred between community college program funding and more money moving into lottery funding. What did change was last month's budget had funding in there related to performance funding from the state. We had estimated about $3 million that we would receive. That was completely taken out of the budget, so we no longer have that in our budget either. And then we did also, again, receive the restricted project funding for the MLK Day of Service of $1 million. So in the revision, how we're looking to fund our strategic plan, as Dr. Law mentioned, there would be 0% enrollment growth for lower division, but we've applied a 3% enrollment growth for upper division, which gives us about $240,000. The learning access fee, which we would like to raise to $1 to fund our strategic priorities, would give us an additional $640,000. Then we have the addition of the state appropriation funds, again, just a shift, but a net of $1.8 million than what we had last year. We did find some additional funding resources related to reallocation of expense reductions. That came up to a total of $743,000. So that gives us $3.6 million to fund our plan this year. Part of the funding that we got from the state was to fund a retirement increase. So that's a flow. We take that revenue and that goes directly into our budget to fund the retirement increase for our employees. We still have maintained the strategic priorities and budget requests that we've previously brought to you. So that's $1.9 million overall, $1.5 million of which would be in our recurring budget. And then as Dr. Law mentioned, we're looking at holding back a reserve. $300,000 of a reserve associated with Midtown. As Midtown's completed and we start to open it, we know we're going to need new resources for that. We don't know exactly where, so we'd like to hold off $300,000 for that. And the remaining just over $1 million, which accounts for about 1.5% of our tuition and fee revenues, we would hold off as we can watch enrollment growth so that we're being conservative. And that would give us a balanced budget. As a reminder from the prior months when we've talked about our strategic budget requests and what we would fund, we would continue to fund all the areas that we've discussed before. Expanded workforce offerings and improvements, employee professional development, a refocused marketing and information campaign, which Diana and Pat were just talking to you about, reducing the student loan default rates, and most importantly, and related to the dollar increase we're requesting, the college experience and out-of-class support and learning support to support our student success initiatives. That $1.2 million includes, again, the areas that we brought to you last month. So additional support staff in the career service areas, enhancements to our student coaching system and new student orientation, new positions in the student service area such as financial aid, veteran services, disability services, and also enhancements to the My Learning Plan system. We're looking at bringing on 7 additional tutoring resources to support the learning support centers, which include 2 virtual learning support advisors, new academic program resources, and Project for Accountable Justice support. What we've also maintained in this budget is discretionary technology funding for each campus. It totals $2.2 million, and this was something we started building 4 to 5 years ago now, and we are maintaining it. So what you can see by campus is minor equipment budget that they each get each year to spend, technology leases, which is how we're doing our computers and refreshes, and then the tech refresh line is actually funding that's out there that isn't currently allocated to a lease, that's also available for new needs or new leases that might arise. So this is a look at what our revised 14-15 budget would look like. It includes all the items that we talked about and would give us a balanced budget. And if we want to switch over to the spreadsheet. And if you could, do you need to increase it just a little bit? The size?
So we have built a front end, and if you give us what if we do this, what if we do that, we can plug some numbers in and see the impact in real time. So we certainly are open to what happens if, what will occur if we change the enrollment projection, if we change the salary increase, if we do whatever it is. All the blue areas are subject to your input if you want to do that. We can change the reserve, we can change whatever it is we might like. So that's our budget. You know, we've done it with you over a period of months. It's a very good budget. Let me, you know, we are at the point of departure here, but you know, back up, we get to switch back, but I want to go back. There's virtually every dollar goes to the front lines. I think the only central position was enhanced veterans services to work on the intake of their credentials and move it forward. That's the only thing I can think that is a central position. Everything else is at the front line, direct interaction with students. So even if you see a departmental secretary in some areas that didn't have one, guess who answers most of the students' questions day to day on campus? It's probably not the people with the fancy titles, it's probably the departmental secretaries or whatnot. So we want to make sure that the support for faculty and the support for students moves forward. You know, if the enrollment matures, we have a way then to come back to you and talk about compensation, if you're open to that. Mr. Chairman,
I would,
get me out of here.
I would agree. I would love to hear from the comments from the board members first. I have some, but I'll wait. Ms. Westine, you're looking like I'm ready to go.
No, I'm very comfortable with this budget. I, in the past, have expressed my opinions. I'm quiet like that. It's hard to get it out of me sometimes. But I'm very comfortable with this budget. I'm not always thrilled with increasing fees on students, but with that said, I probably drive everyone crazy because I do swing by and I do go into the tutoring labs. What am I doing?
No, I'm trying to get the
Oh.
details up so you can see
Oh.
that.
Well, he's motioning to me as well.
You need to speak into the mic, yeah.
No, it's very loud. Because it is because that fee is dedicated to those labs and to that tutoring and to the students specifically. If it were to a new, I don't know, whatever. If it were something other than that, I wouldn't be as happy. But because it's dedicated specifically to student learning, which is one of our biggest focuses, which obviously we're doing well at and we're succeeding at, I'm fine with this budget. My concern was raises. Based on not seeing an increase in enrollment, we don't have raises in there. I hope you bring it. I hope you surprise us. I hope 2 meetings from now we get a, hey, this is fantastic, and it looks like we're going to have a 10% increase, and we can consider it. I'm a dreamer. What can I say? Yeah, I'm a dreamer. But I'm fine with it. That's my 2 cents or lack thereof.
Thank you very much.
Any other board members?
I don't have any additional comments.
Ms. Bello?
No, it looks like we're doing what we have to do to have a balanced budget, and that's what matters.
Captain Fine?
No additional. Heard us.
I would piggyback Ms. Westine. I'd love to see us be able to give raises to all staff across the board. With tuition down, we have a responsibility, though, to be fiscally responsible and also try to really look at whether or not this is a one-time trend or going forward. But this has been something that has typically, well, not typically, but this has been a trend where we've been down in terms of enrollment. And I would tell you that it's probably following a national trend where the economy is starting to come back some and folks are getting into entry-level jobs. And then the baccalaureate program is increasing because other folks are coming back to school to get retooled and retrained to move further up in the workforce. So that's a national trend, and we seem to be following that trend as well. So speak to the budget quite plainly, Dr. Law. I think we've been responsible here. I would not be prepared to vote to take off the table the increases for staff because I don't know what fall will look like. We don't know what fall will look like. I hope that the fall will show where we can give some increases to our staff. I think every board member would like to do that. I think the staff is top notch, and I don't want to bypass the fact that we need to, show them that they are top notch at some point.
Mr. Chairman, and I appreciate that. When the legislature was divvying the money based on high performance, guess which college showed up near the top?
St. Pete College.
We did.
Yeah.
If we were sitting here, if they had followed through and we were sitting here today, we would have another $2 or $3 million in our hand. I don't think any of us would have any reservations about letting that money flow to the people who did the work. So I want to keep that in front of us. There are people who did just what we wanted, and on the metric that the state was looking at, we came out on the top. They changed the way they were going to do it. They were going to give more money for just butts and chairs, quite frankly, and some people needed that money. So I appreciate your sticking with us on this. There are no easy answers here. We all want the people who are doing the work to feel the lift. You know, a 2% raise, which was in the budget that I'd sent you earlier, is you know, not going to make anyone rich, but around the kitchen table for a lot of our staff, that'd be a nice discussion rather than going down. So stick with us. We're working that enrollment plan as hard as you can work it, and I suspect we'll turn it around, but I can't adopt a budget and spend money that's, I don't feel like coming back in October and cutting. That's I'd rather add. So that's where we are. Thank you for your support. I wanted to emphasize the part that I'm looking forward to is comes directly, the part I remember most from our workshop was your guidance to keep building the career part of the budget, of the plan, and you will watch that unfold. This budget funds additional work there, the facilities budget retrofits those centers, so we will do what you asked us to do, which is really a door-to-door level of service rather than just the front end piece of it. So watch that unfold, and this budget funds that growth and development in response.
One thing I would like to add, Dr. Law, is I remember, and when nobody was on this board, when I went up to Tallahassee, when you were coming here and they talked about the learning labs in Tallahassee, they named them after you actually, and how there were, I think, over 1 million visits to the learning lab. We're well on our way. For folks that don't know, the learning lab is a place where students can go and they can get help in all of their academic areas. And we have stressed that, we have pushed it, we have them on every campus, and they are turning out to be a very big success, as well as helping our students to be successful. To hear the number 250,000 students or visits and 100,000 in a semester, that is impressive, and we are on our way to doing what we said we're going to do in terms of making sure that every student has the resources that they need to be successful at any one of our campuses.
Thank you.
I do need I need to hear a motion and on accepting this 2014-2015 budget.
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Any comments? None, I'll signify by saying aye.
Aye.
None opposing. We've just passed our budget.
Thank you very much.
Thank
We're on to our financial presentation.
One of the things, Mr. Chairman, one of the things I did ask, though, is next month we have to spend some time on the facilities budget. I want you, because we have new members, I wanted to introduce it today, give you a sense of what happens in that facility, and then we'll spend time next month if we could just do that. Jamel, what do you?
I have it.
Got it. Go ahead.
Okay.
While she's pulling that up, I've got one question I
Sure.
would kind of like to tag on. Do we have access to the information from the other systems around the state on what their enrollment numbers are looking
yes.
like, and so do we track that and see that we're consistent and maybe look at where their gaps are compared to where our gaps are?
We'd be happy to, yeah, we do that
I'm just
a lot.
interested, are they seeing the same thing? Are they seeing declines or steady in the associate programs? The baccalaureates are growing? Is it consistent around the state?
It is consistently down across the state. There are a couple of pockets. If you go over to Seminole State College, over in, where the high growth is still occurring, those kinds of things. But if you talk to our friends at Broward, if you talk to our friends at Miami-Dade, if you talk to our friends at Valencia, everybody is essentially on the same marginally down trail. I'm trying to think if there are any other outliers. I don't know of any that are way up.
I was just curious.
I appreciate that. My frustration with that sometimes is we can use that as an excuse not to do better.
Well, I kind of look at it the other way. In the corporate world, we always look at benchmarking and looking as a way to improve, not necessarily make an excuse, and really kind of look at our gaps compared to where others' gaps are and see if somebody's already attacked this and maybe we haven't. I just don't know.
Well, again, I'm all in. The student success presentation that we just showed you on how our students are doing in success, please be aware, we're a year ahead of the rest of the state on that. We got it up and running so that we could dissect it. Did it work? Did it not work? What can we learn? How can we do the training? It really kicks in for for all of the colleges first time in August.
Okay.
So we're an iteration ahead. We've already done it. We've already identified some areas where we want to roll up our sleeves and move and keep going. So I'm remember when I was a kid and I'd tell my father, everybody's doing it, and I'm sure all of you got the same answer from your parents. That I don't care about everybody else, I care about you, okay? And I'm glad to give you the information. You should care about us, and we're working it as hard as you can. So we'll share that information, but you can see it's a trend. We're not the outlier. In fact, we're probably better than most in this, but it's down. Capital outlay, a little different, runs on a little different energies and a little different flavor. Jamel, I know we've got all the pieces, so you'll hear us refer to Fund 7. The capital outlay dollars are not in the operating budget. They're in a different fund, operating fund.
And so what we fund out of there relates to our construction, our remodel renovation, and major equipment. Currently, we have $40.5 million available in that budget. Primarily, the funding sources for that is either where the state has specifically given us money for a project, which they'll call PICO, such as the Bay Pines money that they've given to us. They could also allocate us remodel and renovation type money, of which right now we have $1.4 million for this year, but we're waiting to see whether there's going to be any cuts in that. And then we have capital improvement fees, which are part of the student standard tuition and fees, and that revenue comes in to fund the rest of this budget. In the current budget that we have as a draft, $2.3 million is related to construction bond payments that we bonded years ago and we pay annually. There's $25 million related to major construction projects, which we'll go over in a future slide. $5 million is allocated for deferred maintenance and infrastructure. $2.4 million is for campus remodel and miscellaneous expenses. And then $1.2 million is allocated, I have a slide for that, where again, just like we had technology campus discretionary dollars, we have campus discretionary dollars related to major equipment renovation and remodel. And then we have $1.1 million, which is personnel that we have for the college that work related to this construction area. So with all of those costs right now, that gives us a $3.5 million balance. $839,000 of that is recurring, so we do have money from prior years that we have left over that's more like one time that we can use for major projects to just to get those funded. This is a look at the campus discretionary budget. It's a total of $1.2 million, and you can see by campus the breakout between their major equipment budget and then the budget they have for renovation remodel. The three major construction projects that we have in the 14-15 budget include the Midtown Education Center, the Clearwater Library, and then Bay Pines. And the dollars to the right are just related to the funding that we have because we have already started work on all of those areas to some extent. You gonna go through this one?
No.
What we're looking at, we have to turn into the state a capital improvement plan, which includes a 5-year projection. For FY 15-16 right now, that includes renovation projects of $10.2 million, which you can see the details of, remodeling projects of $2.1 million, and then new construction projects of $11.5 million. And when we turn in this capital improvement plan, we also do rate, is it our top 5 resources that we'd like to have worked with.
Stop for a second. We handed out to you the sheet that you will have to vote on next month. We will update it, but I wanted you to see the level of detail. The real focus for you as a board is new construction projects, because we will be asking for planning money for a couple of new things that are coming over the horizon. So you saw our friends at USF St. Pete, they had planning money for a while for their business building, and then they finally got, I don't think they got 100% of the funding, but they got all they can spend in the next year, and they'll get the second part. We will come back to you and get your best guidance on what next for big projects. The Midtown project has sailed, the Bay Pines project has sailed, the library project has sailed. What next is the dialogue for this board as far as where we go, and I want to spend some time on that. So what you see is not exactly what, that's not our proposal, that's our working document right now. My goal today was to start your understanding of what takes place and how it's a little different from the other things we do. Repair and renovation, when you're the oldest college in the state, you know, our friends down at St. Pete Gibbs are sitting on a 70-year-old facility at their administration building. The slab is giving way. You know, it falls to us to get in front of that. So for today, let's be sure we understand. The state gives us money in 2 or 3 pots. We collect capital improvement fee from students. We get to determine a lot of it. It falls into several different categories, and we will follow up with you individually and then at the board meeting next month on what our 15-16 plan looks like, if that's okay, Mr. Chairman.
Just follow me.
And the part of that $3.5 million contingency, we also received budget requests related to major projects, major things that need to be done. And we'll be reviewing those over this next month. And when we come back to you, we'll also be showing you which of those that we think that we can fund from this to have those happen this year as well.
Any questions? No questions. Board members, thank you, Giselle. Thank you, Jim. Administrative matters down to human resources. Oh, I'm sorry,
Oh,
you got our finance report. I'm sorry.
Real quick. 2 months to go in the fiscal year. You'll see at the very bottom, still a healthy 6.7, almost 6.8 million in reserve. I want to point something out at the top that I don't know if I focus much during the year on that, because I kind of wait till the end of the year to see where we are. Highlighted over on the left side when we submitted our budget to you, we had 2 pots of money there. We had one from our revenue stabilization reserve and one from one-time non-recurring funds. That 6.7 million surplus right now does not include expenditure of any of those funds. So right now we're still sitting pretty good at not having to even dip into that money at all. So we'll see how we end the year. You also heard Jamel say that lottery, another $1.5 million is being shifted to lottery next year. So we'll again see next year more of our revenue coming later in the year. You can see under the lottery stream right now that we still have about $4 million to go just over the next 2 months in lottery, and that's historically that's very unusual to have that much revenue coming at the end of the year. All of our personnel costs, we with our new compensation plan that we administered earlier in the year, or 2 years ago now, we're starting to see the effect of hiring at within 10% of the minimum rate. So we're seeing a lot of recurring money as people retire and we have turnover. We're seeing some money being freed up there for reallocation as well, and we will continue to see that. Any questions?
Board members, any comments, questions? Thank you, Doug. Thank you, Doug. Mr. Duncan. Now we're down to the human resources and personnel report. I think Dr. Law told you we gave out a revised personnel report.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I'd like to ask Vice President Cooper and Vice President Williams to come. We have 3 very strategic hires this month, and I'm very pleased with the work that has been done under the leadership of both of these vice presidents, and I'd like them to introduce or to alert you to who it is. Dr. Cooper, if you'll go first.
We've been in the process of hiring the new Associate Vice President for Online Learning and Services, and we're very pleased to announce that Dr. Susan Kolarek who is currently the Assistant Vice President of Instructional Technology at St. Leo's University, who's been there since 2006, has accepted the new role with St. Petersburg College, and we believe that she not only has the background in online learning and education, but she has the leadership skills to bring forward now our revitalization plan and make it a reality.
We have also been working hard to fill the position of provost for both the Allstate Center and the Tarpon Springs campus. For the Allstate Center, Dr. Charles Scott Fronroth has accepted the position as provost of the Allstate Center. He comes from Kaiser University. Currently the associate dean of academics, and at Kaiser, the associate dean does a lot of student support work because that's a part of their mission. He has 17 years of law enforcement experience plus several years of academic experience in higher education, including student services. We believe that he will be able to take the Allstate Center to the next level. And at Tarpon Springs, Dr. Marvin Bright has accepted the position as the Tarpon Springs provost. He comes from the Virginia Community College system, currently serves system-wide as the chief officer of student success initiatives, has been a provost, an associate dean, and has been involved in several student support positions. We believe that he too will be able to continue the good legacy of Dr. Carney and take the campus to the next level.
Any comments, board? Any comments, board members? Questions? Comments? I'd like to say, Dr. Law, you've done it again. You and your staff, we have hired some quality folks, and we look forward to having them join us in the not too distant future.
Mr. Chairman, we need a motion on the personnel report, if you would.
So moved.
Second.
It's been probably moving second in discussion. All signify by saying aye.
Aye.
None opposing. We accept the personnel report. We're on to our construction items.
I see a visitor.
Good morning. I'd like to introduce to you the President and Chief Executive Officer of the Tampa Bay Innovation Center, Ms. Tanya Elmore. And she'll talk to us about our new collaborative partnership at the Downtown Center that is an action item on your agenda.
Good morning. I'm with the Tampa Bay Innovation Center, as Jim has noted. We are a technology incubator that's been operating in Pinellas County for about 11 years. We're currently located in the heart of Pinellas County in Largo, Florida. So what we did is we undertook a study. We occupy anywhere between 30 to 40,000 square feet at the Star Center. Throughout the course of our years, we have always kind of looked at where we would like to expand our operations. So we undertook a feasibility study, and that study overwhelmingly indicated that we needed to be downtown St. Pete. So, and looking at the results of the study and what companies we wanted to work with, the study said you also need to expand from technology to entrepreneurs, general entrepreneurship. So we have launched a program called the Tech Garage, Technology and Entrepreneurship Center, and we are looking at doing that in partnership with St. Petersburg College. And looking at St. Pete College and looking at the opportunities, we think that we can offer students a viable option, especially those students in the entrepreneurship programs. I've been involved with the College of Business, sit on the advisory board. I have been involved in developing the curriculum for entrepreneurs at St. Pete College. So this is just a natural extension of our continued partnership. We also help with the business plan competitions, but we're hoping that the students will have a natural fit into the incubator. They come out of the entrepreneurship program, they can come into our incubator. We also are hoping to hire several interns throughout the course of the year. We get requests from other universities throughout the area, but I have never received a request from St. Pete College for an internship program into our incubator. So we would hope that the downtown location will naturally lend itself as an extension of any student undertaking any entrepreneurial activities to come in and see what it really takes to be an entrepreneur in today's environment. Do you have any questions? We would be occupying about 6,200 square feet within the downtown location. We've been working with Jim and his staff, have been wonderful, as well as Dr. Kevin Gordon.
This is the space vacated by the old
Florida.
Florida International Museum. Okay, it was unallocated space currently, and we thought this was a really great chance to establish a partnership. I think, Tanya, you actually have visions of something bigger and better on the horizon, but to get you started, okay?
I wouldn't say better, I'd say bigger. We are in 30 to 40,000 square feet. This is only 6,200 square feet, so it can really be about 8 offices, co-working space, and depending on what the fire marshal determines, how many folks we can get into a general assembly area there, we can only accommodate so many entrepreneurs. But there is high demand to be downtown. We are looking at expanding 30 to 40,000 square foot building, still within the downtown core, but just south of the location that we're currently looking at. So long-term, we hope to be able to maintain both programs, but sustainability, we have to have the bigger building to sustain operations longer term than 5 years. And we also need wet lab space, and we can't put it in your building.
Any questions, any comments, board members? Thank you so much. Thank you, Jim. Thank you so much.
We need action on that one, or do you want to take them both at the same time?
Let's take them both
Okay.
at the same time.
We're good? And then we'll move to the next item, okay, and then I think the
Do you need a
chairman.
motion to approve that?
Let's take them both.
Thank you. Oh, okay.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is a request for approval of the request for qualifications for the Clearwater Library project. As you know, last August, we approved the selection of the architect. He has been busy doing the programming phase, meeting with user groups, collaborative lab sessions, and so on. He is now ready to have us engage a construction management firm so that we can begin the tough job of cost definition, so that we can be sure that we can get everything into this building that we possibly can afford without, of course, going over budget. The proposal is to use the exact same process that's been heavily vetted as it developed here at the Midtown Center. We would use the exact same process with one exception, and that would be to provide some inclusion for our partners from the city of Clearwater. The screening committee would be enlarged to include some city participation, and the selection team would be increased by 1 member to also include some city participation. So the process would be the same identical process that has, again, undergone heavy scrutiny, we're very comfortable with, and we would use that with the exception of some further inclusion for the city of Clearwater personnel. We're moving collaboratively, of course, with the city partners. We need to get this in front of their city council so that they can feel comfortable that the process is moving forward. This is the very first step in this process, after which we'll go to the city personnel, city council, make sure they're comfortable with it, and then we'll begin the advertisement.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, we've been working very closely with the city of Clearwater, so we don't anticipate any problems. They actually have this on their June 16th agenda, so we want to be careful that we don't say this is a absolute final done deal. If they have something that comes back, we'll bring it back to you. But for today, we think this is the plan that's going to fly. Let me recall for all of you, and we'll follow up. You will be asked to name a community member who can help us serve on the screening part of this and the development part. So we're working through with the city of Clearwater. Mr.
I
Chairman.
think I'll be asking each board member to appoint a community person to the board, to the selection committee.
The screening committee.
Screening. Selection committee will serve 2 people, whoever I appoint as chairperson of the committee and Dr. Law. Every one of you will be asked to put someone on the screening committee, except for Ms. Westine. I'm going to ask that you serve as the board representative on this committee, on the screening committee. And then we will move that process forward. I think also, either at next meeting, we're going to take up our process that Mr. Oliver brought back to us. Am I right, Dr.?
We voted on.
Did we vote on that already?
We voted that, we
voted that one in?
put that
All right,
in as
so
both
that's
board
in.
and policy.
So we will utilize.
We've got that written.
Yeah, so we will utilize the process that Dr. Law and Mr. Oliver brought back to us. They had a lot of information that they brought back to us, and I'm glad that I couldn't remember whether we voted in it or not, but we did. So we'll utilize that process. It seems to be a very good process, very fair and equitable process, works to keep a lot of controversy down. So, keep keep in mind or think about folks that you will be appointing to this screening committee so that we can move the Clearwater Library process along. So, do I hear a motion to accept these two items unless there's other
I
comments?
have
or-
one question. On the advertisement, are we sticking to the same screening criteria, and that'll be included in the advertising for and same weightings, or any of those being adjusted from what we did with
The
Midtown?
proposal is that the point system will remain identical,
system will remain
including
the same.
the 30% beneficial community impact, which is significant. And then the process to get through the screening process will be the same, unranked, finalists recommended to the selection team, and then interviews. Yes.
Any more questions or comments? This is one that we got to get done fairly quickly. Thank you for your hard work and dedication on this.
Need a
from the
motion?
staff, Dr. Law. Do I hear a motion to accept these two items, A and B?
So moved.
It's been probably moving second. Any discussion? All signify by saying aye.
Aye.
None opposing. We're down to academic matters.
We have two very short presentations of things we're very proud of, and then I know we have a number of community people who want to address the board. So we're close to the end here, a couple of consent item agendas. Madam Vice President, please
Good
proceed.
morning, Chairman and members of the board, Dr. Law. It's our pleasure to bring to you two updates this morning. The first will be in regards to expansion in our international programs, and we have our director, Ramona Kirch, with us this morning, who's going to share that information. Ramona?
Thank you, Dr. Cooper. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, and Dr. Law. It's my great pleasure to provide a brief update of our growth in international programs this year. We've seen robust growth in our study abroad programs, a 57% increase in student participation from last year, 69 to 108. We have 8 different countries and 11 different programs in which our students participate. Study abroad scholarships have also seen a very robust increase. As you see here, we have increased total funds by 71%, from $29,000 to $50,000, and we have increased to 32% the number of awards, from 22 to 29. Currently, we have 182 international students from 57 different countries, and with our current applications in, we are projecting that we are going to have over 200 international students on our campuses next fall, close to a 20% increase. We're particularly proud of Eunmi Ko, one of our international students from South Korea, who was awarded the 2014 Alumni Achievement Award during graduation this past week. And she is now currently working on both the downtown and midtown campuses as a learning resource specialist. So she's a star of ours right now. We also have international programming college-wide. Not all of our students, not all of our faculty can go abroad to experience the world, so we're bringing the world to SPC in a variety of ways. Through our expanded programming, our CETL International Programs Workshop Series, hosting delegations from around the world, are furthering the international partnerships with our global partners and other global initiatives. We have increased faculty and academic administrative participation in internationalization to 70%. We've also successfully been able to increase funding with internal and external grants. For instance, a Department of State collaborative grant with Florida State University allowed us to host Indonesian delegation of community college administrators on our campus last spring. And the SPC Foundation was generous in awarding the International Programs and Innovation Grant, in which we will be measuring the impact of our international programming college-wide, and that will be great data for us moving forward. We also have been increasing our events, our activities, and our engagement with faculty, staff, and students college-wide, and we are now active on all campuses. In conclusion, I would really like to share a wonderful new collaboration that we have with SPC International Programs, our College of Business, our Workforce Services internship program, and the Fortune 500 local company Tech Data. We've been working for 2 years. We've just identified an international intern, the first of its kind, both for SPC and for Tech Data, and he will be going to Costa Rica this summer on a paid internship. And this illustrates perfectly the commitment we have to not only student success, but allowing our students to thrive and to go into the global workforce ready
That concludes my report. I'm happy to engage any questions.
Didn't we have a video on that one? No, we cut the video, okay. That's great.
Any questions, board members? It's a great program. We thank you, Ms. Kirsch, for being a part of this program, but also helping it to grow. It has grown phenomenally, and our students in Midtown, some of them are actually having an opportunity to go abroad. So we're very excited about where this program is going. So thank you so much.
Thank you,
Any
Mr.
other
Chairman.
comments? Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next update comes from our College of Education. We're very excited about a partnership with our school district. We have been meeting with leadership, including Superintendent Grego, to discuss the possibilities of an elite educator program. And our Dean, Kim Hartman, is here to share some of that information with you this morning. Dean Hartman.
Thank you, Dr. Cooper. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, trustees, and President Law. It is very exciting to share this elite educator program. This is a collaborative partnership between SPC and the Pinellas County Schools. It is designed to strengthen our teachers' preparation in the STEM fields, strengthen their abilities to teach reading, to work with exceptional students, and to work with English language learners. Upon completion of the final internship, Pinellas County Schools will be providing a monetary incentive to our students, and in turn, our students will agree to work for Pinellas County Schools a minimum of 1 year. So what are the differences in the current program we have and the Elite Educator program? One of the first differences is the fact that these students will come in and work with us for the entire 4 years there at SPC. They will finish this program in 8 semesters. We have different admission criteria for the elite educators. They will have an unweighted high school GPA of at least 3.0. They will have acceptable scores on either the SAT, the ACT, or the PERT. They will have 2 reference letters from a teacher, a guidance counselor, or a community leader. And they will have a successful candidate interview. One of the other things very exciting is these students will come in as a cohort. They will take all their classes together the entire 8 semesters they're in the program. This will help not only to build a community of learners, but it will allow us in specific classes that are not just designed for educators, such as a speech class, for example, the topics will be centered on education, so they will be able to work on this the entire 4 years. We're also excited that we have a coach/mentor who will work with this cohort throughout the entire 4-year process and to provide any support they need. We also will have monthly seminars. These will be led by our COE faculty, staff, Pinellas County teachers, principals, administrative staff, and any outside guests to talk about topics related to education. Right now, in the last 2 years of the program, our students have over 750 hours in the field, but we are going to increase the field experience hours in the first 2 years. They only do 30 hours, which is what the state requires. We are going to quadruple that. They will do 120 hours, so 30 hours a semester instead of overall 30 hours. They will take additional math, science, elementary education classes during the associate's degree. While they're taking the math, science classes, not only will they get the content that everyone would expect them to get, but they will also have a focus on how do we teach that, how do we take that from the college classroom to the elementary school classroom. In the additional elementary education classes, they'll have a class in child development and what would be developmentally appropriate to teach, how we would developmentally appropriately teach elementary students. They will also have coursework to work with exceptional students and to deal with classroom management. And we know we have a very strong program now. This Elite Educator program gives us more time to work with the students to build even stronger graduates. And while we are starting with the elementary program, our plans are to expand to secondary as soon as possible. And I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Board members, any questions or comments?
How many students are we looking to take initially?
This first year with the first cohort, we would plan on 30 students. After that, we will, the sky's the limit.
You saw some very nice publicity on this last week. I think I'm looking at a member of the school board, and I think it was received very well at the school board level. Superintendent Grego deserves all the credit in the world, but he says nice things about working with us, so we return the favor. That story in the press had some resonance. So you will see Florida's public policy is shifting away from high-stakes testing toward improved teaching. And there's some money in the legislative budget for that. And we have already been contacted to see if we can work together and continue in this direction to focus on improved teaching. So I suspect this is the first of several nice announcements along this line. Thank you for your leadership.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We will now, we're down to our consent agenda. Do you want to take them all up at one time, all the issues? Do I hear a motion to accept the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on any of these items? None, all signify by saying aye.
Aye.
None opposing, we accept the consent agenda. Or do we need to talk about Seminole Account Community Library?
No, that's on the consent agenda. That's all
I
in
know
there.
it's-
Yeah, no, we're fine. That's
We are
just the
down to
update of
the
the
public
agreement.
access. I have the cards in hand, and first up is Miss Renee Flowers.
Unless we don't have a board meeting later on.
We do.
Good morning.
Good morning.
First of all, I want to say it is a privilege to be here on this morning. I want to say that, as you've already heard, St. Pete College has been a tremendous friend and partner with Pinellas County Schools, and we are very excited about that. Today, I'm here for a reason that gives me great pause, as well as perhaps a reason that gives me great excitement. It gives me an opportunity to talk about the Carter G. Woodson Museum. It gives me great pause because I'm concerned at some communications that have occurred throughout the community that some, but maybe not all, are aware of. Some of you may know and some of you may not, but I grew up in Jordan Park, and the facility that we're talking about, which is located on 9th Avenue South, has sentimental value, but it also has a great value to the people who reside in this community. It is proven to be a show of strength, but it is also proven to be a place where individuals can come and learn and embrace this community. The building stands there today because I asked Darrell Arians at that time for $50,000 to save that facility. And upon visiting in Kentucky and looking at Indianapolis, Indiana with their African American museums, that was the perfect and natural fit. There were no funds to administer that building, and so the community rallied together. And I am grateful for that because I believe we have shown that we have proven to be excellent stewards of a library that showcases the historic perspective of South St. Petersburg, and I say that name with great pride. While I understand that change is good, sometimes change is not always what is best. And I am here today to say that I stand strongly and firmly in maintaining the board directive that we currently have, administering, supporting, and managing that entity. We have had a number of historic exhibits that have traveled throughout that museum. We have events in that museum. The doors are open every day in that museum. I provide, along with John Wilson and Gwen Reese, the historic walks that have had a number of people come from far and wide to learn about our community and to find that what they read in the paper is not always what's true about South St. Petersburg. We make sure that those who are African American artists and writers have an opportunity to have their exhibits and their book signings there when they might not otherwise have that opportunity. And I would be remiss if I did not say that St. Pete College has not been a partner even in that vein. I would venture to say that if there is a desire to become a part of our community in another way, join us. Join the board that currently serves. We are doing great things. We will gladly take your presence. You can become a friend of the museum, and we most certainly will take your money if you want to help us expand and move beyond where we are. But you hear so many negative things sometimes about my community, and that we're not ready, we're not able, we're not capable to provide the leadership. But I believe this facility has proven that absolutely wrong. I stand today in full support of the Carter G. Woodson Museum remaining in the custody of which good stewards we have proven to be. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Flowers. Attorney Jacqueline Hubbard.
morning, everyone. I'm here in support of the maintaining the Carter G. Woodson Museum. Now, there have been a lot of rumors going around and a few facts about the future of this museum. It's located very near your Midtown campus. We understand there was an earlier meeting at the St. Petersburg Housing Authority in which there was a proposal by the college to terminate the lease agreement with the Dr. Carter G. Woodson African American Museum, History Museum, and lease the grounds and the gardens behind the building to St. Petersburg College for 50 years at $25 a year. The St. Petersburg Housing Authority has a meeting set for May 22nd, 2014, where it is suspected the lease agreement with the college will be discussed. There is so much rumor and innuendo floating around the community that there is beginning to be a fairly hostile reaction to the manner in which this has occurred. And no one really wants that. We want the college and the museum to be friends, neighbors, and collaborators. Now, the Dr. Carter G. Woodson African American History Museum has leased the building and grounds from the Housing Authority since about 2006. It has an independent board of directors. It is a 501c3 nonprofit organization organized under the Internal Revenue Code. It is an independent board. It is not controlled by the city, and it will not be controlled by the college. It runs the museum. It owns the name of the museum. And I'd like to say that this is the only African American art museum in the entire Tampa Bay area. It's a beloved institution. It puts on beautiful displays and art exhibits. It has intellectual and community forums about African American life, and it needs to survive. And it not only needs to survive, it needs to grow. And that's one of the things that the college can do as a good friend. It can help the Carter G. Woodson African American Museum, History Museum, grow into a fine institution if we can get together and have a collaborative effort. Thank you.
Thank you. Yolanda Hudson.
Good morning. I just want to say I am a product of St. Pete College. I got my bachelor's degree from here. And I just want to say I am one of the friends of the museum. And I want to second that emotion to what my friends have just said to you. We love that museum. We work very hard to keep it. We have a lot of programs for the kids in that area where we build self-esteem and self-worth. Without that museum, the community itself would, I would say, would be very destroyed if that was to be taken away from us. And as a concerned citizen, I will fight for it. So that's all I just wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Carla Bristol.
My name is Carla Bristol. I am the new owner of Gallery 909, so I'm your neighbor at 909 22nd Street. But long before Gallery 909, I have been a longtime friend of the Dr. Carter G. Woodson African American History Museum. What I wanted to talk to you about today is perhaps a little bit about just this year alone, some of the exhibits, some of the events and activities that have occurred at the Dr. Carter G. Woodson African American Museum. So this year, we've had artists such as William Kwame Napo, Sonia Evans from Pensacola, Florida, Charles Axe, who is locally retired here, Dr. Dallas Jackson, who is also a local St. Pete native, Sharon Norwood, who is from Dunedin, who currently resides in Dunedin, Florida, We've had Donita Fry, who is out of Orlando, Florida, and this has all occurred just within the last several months, in addition to an exhibit, a photo exhibit from the elementary students in Melrose Elementary, along with my own personal art exhibit that was there for 2 months, as well as an exhibit from students at Gibbs High School. In addition to that, there's been several partnerships that I'm not sure you've been aware of, including the Al Downing Tampa Bay Jazz Association, who on a monthly basis has provided the live jazz music, including during Jazz Appreciation Month, and February for Black History Month, as well as in April during Jazz Appreciation Month. They provided talks concerning jazz. In addition to that, there is a local organization called REXP that sources a tremendous amount of talent, both musical talent, spoken word, and a lot of musicians, over 30 plus, and they continue to support the Dr. Carter G Museum with their talents on a regular basis. Some of the events that you may or may not know about includes storytelling. We've had the candlelight vigil for, during Martin Luther King month, along with we hosted several young women for self-esteem during the month of February. They attended where they themselves hosted the event and spoke and controlled the entire program. Some of the talks and conversations that we've had at the Woodson would include the life and history of spoken word with some of Tampa Bay's local spoken word artists and a panel discussion with the community. We've also had the Power and Pride and Elegance event, along with Dr. Bernard Lafayette was at the Woodson, partnered with the YWCA. Yes, I will. So I apologize for that. So in addition to a Deuces Live partnership, as well as a partnership with the Warehouse Arts District, which allows the trolley to come to the museum on the second Saturday of every month. Thank you.
We can't hear you. Yes.
That's what we're trying to fix.
Yeah, just little buzz.
Beatrice Farrell, Beatrice
I always use Holyfield when I talk to Dr. Law. Good morning. My name is Beatrice Farrell, and I am program manager for the Deuces Live. And I come to you to ask a favor. During the summer months, we have been hosting Sunday Market on the Deuces. We have a produce market from 1 to 6 on Sunday afternoons. In anticipation of the hot summer months, we're hoping that we have access to the gym. We had previously asked the owner of the gym, could we store our carts there? And we were told that they were unable to assist us because the new owners, St. Pete College, it might mess up their, that's what they said, that it might have a problem with it might interrupt the deal. So now that the deal is closed, we're coming to the new owners to say, if you could please help us during the summer months to have air conditioning and coverage from the heat. Thank you.
We're all on the same page here. We do not yet own that building. So our friends over at the Housing Authority are, we're awaiting the signed papers back from them. So maybe I'll join you Thursday over there and see if we can all get our needs met, okay, over at the Housing Authority. But I'll be happy to talk to you when we own the building. In fact, we can talk before we own it and see.
It's not
Okay, I'll follow up with you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Winnie Foster.
Hello.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak to this issue, which in my mind, as the director of the Sojourner Truth Center that has been active in St. Petersburg for a number of years, I am very aware of the importance of history in the perception about social justice. And so Sojourner Truth was a person who walked away from slavery and said she is going to make her own name. She called herself Sojourner Truth. And one of the things she did was speak truth to power. And so that's what I'm doing here today. You have power over one of our very desired and admired institutions in the community. And it's very important for us to feel that we have good community input, that we're not treated differently, which is one of the things that people have been feeling in the community since this meeting at the Housing Authority. Why is the process different for this entity? So I just leave that as a question. I hope you'll answer it to satisfaction of many people here, which is why we've come today. Help us out.
Thank you.
Thank you. Celeste Davis?
Hi, good morning. Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Celeste Davis. I was born and raised right here in St. Petersburg at Bayfront Medical. My grandparents lived just a few blocks away from here. And over the last 3 years, I've had the privilege of working very hard for the Carter G. Woodson African American History Museum. I am in full support of the current administration and their use of that building. I was the person who actually was able to organize jazz appreciation activities that were used and were housed at the museum. We had jazz chats based on Ken Burns' jazz history series. We were able to have Dwayne White, Rick G., Kenny Walker, and Eric Deegans lead one of those discussions on a weekly basis. In addition, we had a family event that happened on a Saturday evening and a culminating event that was held at the Palladium. We partnered with the Al Downing Jazz Association. So it was a viable, interesting, exciting use of a wonderful museum and how it serves this community. As well as I was a curator for the Willie Daniels exhibit, which coincided with Free Museum Day. Willie Daniels was actually there. It was an exhibit of just his work. He shared with, I thought, what was particularly moving. On Saturday, there were a number of children that came through the museum, and he touched so many of them and talked to them about their desires, their hopes, and talked to them about the work that he had done. These are some things that I've had the opportunity to do, as well as I hang exhibits for the museum on a regular basis. At any moment, I'm there to mop the floor, return chairs to their place, do whatever, because it is an important part of my community. I feel fully invested in it, and I'd like for you to know that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Franchetta Bradley?
Good morning, and thank you for the opportunity. This is near and dear to my heart. I am here as the volunteer coordinator of the Carter G. Woodson African American Museum. I am a working volunteer and a member of the board, all of which assist in keeping the Carter G. Woodson African American Museum in good standings, which is keeping community and family, friends, one. We have welcomed, honored, and partnered with the community. It is our plan to stay on that path. We work tirelessly to provide resources for the youth and adult community, and we've been successful since 2006. As a partner, and I do say as a partner, we welcome the amenities that you are offering. So please take in consideration, the community has enjoyed and benefited from the Dr. Carter G. Woodson African American Museum. Thank you.
Thank you. Terry Lipsy Scott.
Good morning, everyone. Trustees, are you in receipt of the letter that I sent you all on yesterday? You are. Are you the only one in receipt of the letter that I sent to the Board of Trustees on yesterday? Laura, you stated that it would be a part of...
I'm sorry, that was my fault. I thought I was carbon copied on the letter. I did not know that was to be
Laura stated with
distributed
me earlier this morning that each of them would have that here at their seats this morning. Is that not the case?
They have the Carter G. Woodson information that you gave me.
Okay. Distribute your letter and go ahead and talk about it, okay?
I appreciate that. Carla, would you? You've got that other information as well. On May 8th, members of the board of the Dr. Carter G. Woodson African American Museum was extended an invitation to attend a meeting at the St. Petersburg Housing Authority, where St. Petersburg College representatives brought forth a fabulous presentation. That presentation was a proposal for, you have in front of you, a proposal for the Dr. Carter G. Woodson Museum. We were indeed ecstatic to learn of St. Petersburg College interest in the Dr. Carter G. Woodson African American Museum, but it was certainly unnerving for those of us present that it was our first time seeing or even knowing of your interest in the Dr. Carter G. Woodson African American Museum. Since that time, and since my correspondence to you on yesterday, I have received, I'm ahead of myself. The presentation, in summary, stated transition plan. And the transition plan reads, it's the last portion of this presentation, as part of the transition plan from the current administrative organization to St. Petersburg College, St. Petersburg College is proposing to enter into a 50-year lease agreement at $25 a month to maintain all facilities, including the gardens, historical items, and oversight over educational programming activities. St. Petersburg College is requesting that the Housing Authority maintains the HVAC system at its own cost over the period of the lease. Additionally, the Housing Authority maintain support of the offset of the renovation costs. St. P. College is requesting that the Housing Authority recommend to the City of St. Petersburg that St. P. College receives $15,000 in pallet funds, payments in lieu of taxes for the first 5 years of this engagement. Needless to say, again, we were just ecstatic to know of the interest of St. P. College, but needless to say, extremely unnerved by the idea, excuse me?
Your time is up, Ms. Scott. Would you briefly close? Do a closing? We're going to be fair to everybody. We're going to give everybody 3 minutes, and I'm asking her to close. You have 3 minutes up.
Mr. Gibbons, your presentation to the Housing Authority Board last week was one that was certainly extremely insulting and offensive, inasmuch as you not only know me personally, but the members of the board. Your desire to take over the museum, as was stated, your comments as it lent to us being steamrolled, those being your actual comment, that someone has to leave and someone would be steamrolled. I would like to say to you and remind you of the comments of the Commissioner of the Housing Authority. The interstate divided our community. The dome divided our community. He, nor any of us, want to be a part of anything that will further divide our community. We are open and receptive to conversations with regards to St. Petersburg College and the Carter G. Woodson.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Eric Atwater.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity. I'm speaking in behalf of the small business owners in St. Petersburg. First of all, I want to thank y'all for being involved in a lot of things that y'all doing, and I want to say that Devron is a hero in my community and a hero to me. You know what I'm saying, and a lot of other young people. And I came here today to say that, you know, African Americans got to always remember, you know what I'm saying, where they come from, and always got to support their neighborhood. Just not, you know what I'm saying, pick who you want to support. And I support everybody that's in my community. I go to everybody's shops, everybody's stores. I try to stop by people's houses and show the love and the respect that I was taught by my father and my mother. You know what I'm saying? And it's a lot of phony stuff going on. And people, you know what I'm saying, always, you know what I'm saying, want to, you know what I'm saying, throw up the community and throw up this and throw up that. But I really don't see these people. You know what I'm saying? I'm on the corner every day. You know what I'm saying? And I'm fighting hard, and you know what I'm saying, I suffer. And, you know, when people come by and show some support, and I just remember, you know what I'm saying, my dad and my mom was on 22nd Street a long time ago, back in the 60s and 70s, you know what I'm saying, when I was a little boy. And the place used to be crowded and be thick. And, you know, and them people used to come in there and they used to eat. And my dad used to, you know what I'm saying, feed a lot of people. And, you know, and I said, Dad, why you got to go to work? You know what I'm saying? Why you go to the project and be doing all that stuff and you really don't need to do that? And, you know what I'm saying, because I know he had money, and you know what I'm saying, I know that he ain't have to do it. And he always said that he ain't doing it for, you know what I'm saying, himself. He doing it, you know what I'm saying, for the people. You know what I'm saying? I used to sit back and look like all the people he feed and all the people he look out for. And I was saying, Dad, you ain't doing that for me. You know what I'm saying? You ain't, you know what I'm saying? And he told me it's not all about you, it's about the people. And I sit back and I look at these rich people, you know what I'm saying, that's African American, and they ain't doing it for the people, they're doing it for themselves. And I want y'all to know that I'm standing flat-footed and firm on the people. You know what I'm saying? If y'all gonna help the people, you know what I'm saying, I'm with you, man. You know, keep doing what you doing and support all the small businesses, you know what I'm saying, and come by and spend some money, man. Because I don't know nothing about all these big figures and all these millions of dollars. You know what I'm saying? I know about people spending money with the businesses that's around here starving every day and need some business, you know what I'm saying? And you keep your millions and come by and spend $5 or $10 with me, and I'm happy, bro. Keep doing what you do.
Thank you, Mr. Atwater. Tammy Kendricks.
Good morning, and thank you for the opportunity. Ladies and gentlemen of the Board of Trustees, I appreciate this opportunity to speak before you this morning. As an alumni of St. Petersburg College and a friend of the Dr. Carter G. Woodson African American Museum, I'm hopeful you will consider the sincerity of my heart this morning. Because if you know what I know, you will know what a gem we have in this in the heart of our community. And if you know what I have seen with my own eyes, you will understand why I love the Dr. Carter G. Woodson Museum. Because I remember that day that I fell in love with it like it was yesterday, May 9th, 2009, the Legends Ball, honoring past, present, and future trailblazers in the city of St. Petersburg. It was that night I saw the vision, and I too believed. I looked around the room. As I look around this room, I finally remember that night, and I see familiar faces. I remember the enthusiasm. I remember the vibes. I remember the passion and the commitment to make the Dr. Carter G. Woodson African American Museum the premier museum on the face of this planet. I remember. A few months later, I married the love of my life and the Legacy Gardens. With friends, family, and a few museum visitors that wanted to see what all the fuss was about. If you know what I know, you will know that the Carter G. Woodson Museum is a cradle-to-the-grave facility. In this past year alone, I've seen infants meet Peter Cottontail for the first time and a memorial service for a beloved SPC student. I have seen students introduced to reading, etiquette, and many forms of art. I've seen the Woodson Museum become a haven to residents and a beacon encouraging social and civic responsibility. We have celebrated life milestones, honored community stakeholders, and engaged in thought-provoking conversations around the arts and engaging our community. The Woodson Museum is more than a building or a name carved into a cement plaque. It's bigger than any one entity or individual. Our Woodson Museum has morphed from a building with a name into a fixture of our community. I have seen lives change, spirits renewed, and relationships built. History, arts, and culture are alive and well at the Dr. Carter G. Woodson African American Museum. So if you don't know what I know, I invite you to come and see for yourself the magical moments that occur each and every time the doors open. Come see what I see and be willing to work beside me to continue, and I repeat, continue the work of fearless and unpaid stewards whose only goal is to share Dr. Woodson's vision. And if you remember that night, the Legends Ball night, I stand here today committed because I still believe. I welcome the collaboration and symbiotic relationships forged in proper and decent order because Dr. Carter G. Woodson would have it no other way.
Thank you. Dr. Robert Harrison.
Good morning, everyone. I'm speaking to you on this morning from a humanitarian standpoint as it relates to not only the Woodson Museum, but more personally, Advantage Village Academy, Deuces Live, and the SCLC. Forgive me if I do go over the 3 minutes, because as you well know, preachers tend to be a little long-winded. I'm going to do everything I can to stay within the confines of that.
And don't pass out an offering tray.
Yes, sir. No, won't do that. Won't do that. But I'm also a Marine. I was a Marine for 12 years, so I understand decency and order. So I will try to do that and try to be as on point as I can. I ask that you charge it to my head and not my heart. In the words of a chaplain by the name of Chaplain Forgy, praise the Lord, pass the ammunition. He said this in the heat of battle. The battle was World War II. The incident was Pearl Harbor. And it would seem kind of ironic that he, as being a chaplain, would say such a thing, because chaplains generally do not carry ammunition, nor do they carry weapons. But I believe that we're in a battle today. We're in a battle to take back our community. We're in a battle to take back this city. And most importantly, we're in a battle to save our kids. These various institutions, I call them institutions and not business and not companies, because they're paramount in developing the young minds that futurely attend the SPCs of this world and of this city and of this community. But if we don't interject the proper and the nurturing, the character development and the traits that are needed for these kids to have something to look forward to, then I think we're doing them a travesty, and we're setting them up for failure. And we're setting them up to have a visit down to 49th Street, and I think we all know what that means. On a personal note, I help to employ and create programs like health and wellness, literacy, computer technology, childhood obesity at Advantage Village Academy when they had the Jordan Park Gym. Of course, those programs ceased to take place once the acquisition took place, and that was definitely a blow. I believe not only to me, but also most importantly to the community at large. I want to emphasize the importance and urgency that one of the things that we did in the Marine Corps was there was an unbreakable code. I use the acronym LAIDC, L-A-I-D-C, which stands for loyalty, attention to detail, integrity, dedication to duty, and commitment to excellence. These organizations, being Advantage Village Academy, Deuces Live, the SCLC, and the Woodson Museum, have done nothing less than exhibit these character traits. And I ask humbly that you reconsider and you join in a synergistic partnership with these organizations. Amen?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Susan Golden.
Hello, thank you so much for this meeting. It's been a wonderful meeting. Everybody that's spoken about the Woodson has done a marvelous job. And what I want to suggest, they've spoken about the importance of the Carter Woodson Museum to the Black community. I want to suggest that the Woodson Museum is even more important to the white community. They are addressing the issues that much of our society is falling short on. We have 59 to 70% of our young black males not graduating high school. They are lifting these people up. These are the children that are coming into Central and North St. Pete when their needs aren't met out of the anger that they feel against society. And this is affecting your communities as well. Now, I don't mean to blame anybody, but we need to begin to work together. We've had too much segregation for too long. I was on the Art Walk bus trolley the other day as a docent. I've been down there. I love it. I can't think of a more fun place to spend part of my Sunday afternoon than Deuces Live. But when I was on that art bus, one white person, got off at the Carter Woodson Museum to go in and see what was happening there. Out of, I don't know, 100 or so, 200, I'm not sure. One person. When she got back on to finish her trip, she was raving, not only about the museum, but about the community spirit and the beauty of this neighborhood. If you want your children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren safe, we need to start doing a better job of building community, educating people. And this is a place to start because they are doing a fabulous job. And if you haven't been down there, you're missing out. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. T. Lassiter? T. Lassiter?
Good morning, I'm Mama T. Lassiter. I am the grassroots community activist. I'm gonna do a different twist. For the last 3 months, I've had some health issues. I've had 3 surgeries. I just left Dr. Freddie McRae. But I could not go home and do what my sister didn't want me. I had to come and ask the question, what is really going on? I'm the community activist, and I remember 1996. I remember 97, 98. I remember sitting on the whole 6 task force. I remember raising all kind of hell back then because I wasn't saved yet. And we asked for what we wanted. You got to understand, when you struggled all your life and you have dreams, you want to feel like you have ownership. I live on disability and I trust God for everything. But I am so proud that I'm in the room today where me and Dr. Bill Law sat right over there in that corner, and he had the listening post. And I gave him the theory, instead of the city building apartments down the street, build us a college. He heard me. It's coming to fruition. Not long ago, I was able to come to the groundbreaking, and I was honored that Mr. Gibbons will acknowledge that when the city mayor and staff didn't know they was finna shut it down, Mama T found out. I'm back again today for the Carter Woodson. See, I can't afford the Vinoy and the Yacht Club and all those nice places, but it does my heart good to know that I work for free and I serve my community. But every once in a while, I'm going to find out that something's going on at the Carter Woodson that I can afford or that I'm invited at. I think St. Pete College would be a great partner with the people that has already begun the work. I ask you humbly, from the bottom of my heart, with all the madness I've seen in 19 and a half years, don't take this from me. Today, I'm not here for the community. I'm here for me. I take pride that once my doctor released me, I will be back to get my last 3 semesters and have my BA. And I thank God that I will be able to go to the Carter Woodson because I'm tired of tearing them Facebook and everything, and I've been homebound. I don't know what the plan is, but one thing Cedric Gordon used to say, we are better together. It's time out for the dumbness. If you don't believe me enough dumbness, I just buried my brother-in-law Saturday, who was murdered in his yard, who served 20 years in the Army. Let's rethink this thing and do it right.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, we're honored by both the quality and the equanimity of the program. You know, I know this is heartfelt and people manage to communicate their best thoughts rather than their deepest feelings and all that. So I for one, deeply appreciate speaker after speaker come to the microphone. Dr. Tanja Williams, who I think her boots on the ground in Midtown are as worn as anyone's boots on the ground in Midtown, has been leading our efforts. I have to say, we don't have an item on the agenda. We don't have a vote. We don't have. I think the dialogue moves to Thursday with the people who are the leaseholders, the others. We made a commitment at the front door to work with the community. That commitment hadn't changed even a little bit. In fact, we get that started, you know, as soon as the dust settles on what we're doing. So, Tanja, you have been our leader on that. Any comments you would like to make after hearing our colleagues here?
Well, I want to thank the community for coming out and sharing their support and usage of the Carter G. Woodson African American Museum. I agree that at Thursday's meeting with the Housing Authority, we will learn more about the direction. And our intention is to continue to serve the community and include the community in everything that we do, as we have done in all of our endeavors here at the college. And so Thursday, we will have a little bit more Dr. Law, and we'll be able to come back to the table with information and strategy.
As it unfolds, we will keep everybody informed.
Open
I want the last word.
Gotcha.
When we had our collaborative sessions on Midtown, and I'm looking at my sometimes adversary, better friend, Mama T, one of the commitments that the community asked us to do was to not just invest the money, but invest in the arts and the future, Reverend, of the very same things you were talking about. And we stand ready to do that.
Yes.
We can't do it ourselves. So we stand ready to do that in whatever partnership. I'm going to say, how we got to this, I don't have a good answer for you. And if you know how we got here, whisper it in my ear, because I can't connect all the dots from what we were invited to do versus what our heart is telling us to do versus what we're being accused of doing. I'm going to finish with the good news. There was a time when St. Petersburg College was accused of not doing enough in the community, and if today we're accused of doing too much in the community, we'll get it right eventually, okay?
Right,
So
right.
stick with us, okay? So, Mr. Chairman, let us work through this. I didn't hear anything today that got me off my feet.
Right.
I agree with those sentiments.
Thank you.
If nothing else,
The only question I would like to make sure that everyone here hears is, we were invited that we did not approach the Housing Authority. St. Pete College was asked to provide a proposal, and we did. And one of the things that, and I appreciate everyone's words today, but I read the proposal, and I'm very proud of our staff's proposal. You know, I think that there's some kind of, I don't want to say bad feelings, but I want to make sure that our staff knows that as a board member, I'm very proud of the proposal we put forward. I encourage our staff to work with the community, but I want to make sure our staff knows that they were asked to provide a proposal and they did it. They didn't do anything wrong, and that's the one thing as a board member I want to leave our staff with the mantra, please make sure we work with this community.
Okay.
If nothing else, any other board members?
Thanks.
Thank you. Meeting adjourned.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Great budget. Okay, thank you.